Huge news night here in the campaign. I have breaking Kamala Harris sound. I'm going to play it for you within the next 30 seconds. We have a big guest I told you about, the Emmy winner, best-selling author Sunny Holston is here. Sunny, you recently interviewed the vice president. I have so much to get into with you, but I also have breaking news here, which is Kamala Harris speaking out in her first ever interview on Fox News, a big campaign event by any means. The interview's over. You cannot see any more of the interview in full at Fox. The interview's done. We're going to show you some of the key parts right now with Sunny Holston to break it down. Here is the vice president facing off with Fox's Bret Baier over Donald Trump's public vows to abuse military power.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you...
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
An emphatic warning there. That's brand new sound. We're airing that for the first time here on MSNBC moments ago in her first ever interview on Fox News. Sunny Holston is here. What was striking in that moment is that she didn't just take the selected clip or sound that for whatever reason they chose.
Misinformation.
Right? That sort of was a dodge to it, but reframed it back to what she says are very serious threats to abuse power. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, she was factual. And I'm actually surprised that they would play that clip. And I watched the entire interview in the green room. I had the pleasure of doing that. And what I saw is someone who loves this country, who is competent, who is fit to be the president of the United States, who is in complete command of the facts and understands the stakes and what that our democracy truly is at stake.
You've interviewed her recently.
Yes, I have.
I should mention, we're going to play this in a moment. Part of your interview was played within the Bret Baier interview to Kamala Harris. We'll get you on that. Very interesting. I was saying about Bob Woodward earlier tonight, we don't plan these things. Sometimes they just happen. Has she ever had an interview like this?
You know, people are saying that she went on Fox News. It's the first time that she has gone on Fox News, that she, you know, went into the belly of the beast and she went into enemy territory. I think that she did that because there are a group of people that have been fed over and over again misinformation and disinformation on Fox News. I mean, you have a court, you have a judge saying that it's entertainment and not facts and not news. And so I think it's important that she did that so that to help those people make a decision as to who is more fit to be the president of the United States. And I think her response in pointing out that key Republicans, people in his own cabinet, have said that he is not fit. And I'm a bit disappointed that what I saw, and this is not to disparage Bret Baier, because I've interviewed him too, and I know him well, and he's one of our colleagues, of course, in journalism. You know, he was a little bit dismissive. I think it's of that fact. I think it's very important when you have your own former vice president not endorse you.
Do you think that he approached her differently than other people he interviews?
You know, I saw a little bit of the panel after the interview, and one woman said that she came in hot, and also said that she became angrier. I thought he came in hot. And what I am very tired of is this trope of the angry black woman. She was not angry. She was in command of the facts. She was passionate. Passion does not equal anger. You know, I'm often called, you know, Donald Trump actually called me dumb at a rally recently. You have these tropes that are used against women and women of color in particular. And I did not see a dumb woman. I did not see an angry woman. I saw a woman who understands what is at stake. And I thought that she was very, very strong. And I hope people heard what she had to say, which is that Biden is not on the ballot. Kamala Harris is on the ballot. And what you have is a binary choice, Kamala Harris or someone who is unstable, as told by his own former staffers.
Well, and I appreciate exactly how you put it. People can listen to that and keep your points in mind. If there are people who are concerned about which of these two candidates is more angry, quote unquote, or more reckless, more of a vituperative, I can get my thesaurus out. There's a lot of documented evidence that he is the louder, angrier one. I want to play more from the Bret Baier interview. So this is the Bret Baier interview, which just aired. We have the moment I mentioned.
Yeah.
We're going to air this for the first time right now. This is Vice President Harris in the new interview. We've got the highlights. And at one point, we have Baier playing the recent interview you did with the Vice President. Let's take a look.
You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas.
Sunny?
I'm surprised to see The View on Fox News. So, you know, I thank them for that, I guess. But she did answer my question. I asked what would be the difference between a Harris presidency and a Biden presidency. I think she's very loyal to President Biden. I think it's clear that the Biden administration has had one of the most successful administrations in history. She has nothing to be ashamed of having been part of that. She did ultimately answer my question and said that she would have a Republican in her cabinet, much like Abraham Lincoln did, much like Doris Kearns Goodwin wrote in Team of Rivals. And so I think that is a very different approach. She also said she would bring her lived experience to the presidency. They are 2 very different people. But she didn't throw Joe Biden under the bus, and why should she? They have had a very, very strong administration.
Yeah, it's really striking. I think we're, quite honestly, very lucky to have you to handicap some of this. I have to fit in a break. We have more from the brand new Vice President Harris interview. We have some more of what Donald Trump says is going on with the women's rights backlash that he's facing. So I wanted to get your views on that and those issues. So we will be right back. We're back with Sunny Holston, and we have more brand new highlights from Vice President Harris's Fox News interview. Here she was on immigration. We don't have it. We don't have that clip yet. Let's take a look at another moment from the interview that we were discussing, which was a really stern back and forth. And I'm going to show. Yeah, do we want to go to this? All right, let's take a look at this moment.
Amber Thurman's family have come out on a press call, and they're doing what's called a pre-buttal 2-hour town hall right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah? And I want to
Get better ratings, I promise.
This was a women's town hall, as Fox put it.
Yes.
And we're going to get more. We're pulling it as it comes in, more from the Harris interview, as I mentioned. But what do you think of this part of the campaign? Trump knows he has a problem on abortion and the women's vote, particularly women of color.
He certainly has a problem with women. He, has been found guilty of sexual abuse, civilly, responsible, not guilty. He has a problem with the fact that he has taken credit for dismantling Roe v. Wade and taking women's rights away from them. For the first time, I read recently that he is down in voting with white women. I think it's the first president in decades that is down, a Republican, with the white female vote. And I think that has everything to do with the fact that he is hiding from 60 Minutes because he doesn't want to be fact-checked. He certainly won't come on The View, all-female show. He is hiding from many places, but he has this sort of female town hall in a place that he feels safe, and says that he's the father of IVF, which is not true, and takes almost no responsibility for dismantling Roe when that was his sole intent in putting these 3 very conservative justices on the bench. And moreover, what is fascinating to me is he lied and said that everyone wanted Roe to be dismantled. That is not true. If you look at the numbers, 80 to 90% of Democrats were against that. I would say the majority of the country, including Republicans, were against that. So he has a real problem. And if you look at even Omaha, Nebraska, she is leading 51% to 42%. And a large part of that is because of his problem with women. And that's not going anywhere.
And it's so interesting because we hear so much about, oh, Trump will do anything in the bluster. He and his team are clearly aware of this vulnerability, which is why they're doing this and that. I mentioned we have a moment from the actual interview. It's short, but this is Kamala Harris, and she's discussing Trump's stability. Take a look.
Donald Trump, he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden...
What do you think of that exchange? And you can also tell our viewers about, of course, what ensued. You watched the whole interview, which was there are 2 people on the ballot.
Right.
Kamala Harris, Donald Trump.
Well, listen,
everybody knows that. Brett Baer wanted to run it back and say, if Trump's so unstable, what about Biden, the person you replaced?
Yeah. And the thing is, President Biden, again, with a very successful administration, and I have spoken to him and interviewed him and spoken to him personally on the phone, he's not on the ballot. But the person that is on the ballot, Donald Trump, has been unstable. Did anyone watch him dancing for 39 minutes as opposed to answering questions at a rally?
You didn't find that normal for a town hall?
I did not find that normal. I found that to be unstable. What we do know is the only information that we have about him is his medical history from 7 years ago. One is that he was overweight. Another fact is that he had rosacea. And another fact was that he had high cholesterol. We know nothing else. And he took a very rudimentary mental acuity test. He has refused to release his medical records this go-round, when almost every single president that I can recall in my lifetime and before then in the history books, they have not only given their tax returns, he has not done that, they have made sure for the American people that they have the mental capacity and the physical capacity to do a very difficult job.
Do you think Harris moved the ball on that or ended up in crosstalk?
I think that she moved the ball as much as she could, given the fact that she wasn't necessarily always allowed to complete her thoughts.
We have one more new bite we have not aired yet. I mentioned this earlier. It's on immigration.
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
and they didn't bring up that bill. I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising.
Okay.
If you don't watch the whole interview, that captures some of the character that you mentioned.
Yes.
In my final question to you is, does she get more points for doing the thing, which Donald Trump is currently bailing on? He bailed on 60 Minutes, he canceled on CNBC, even if some of those moments might feed the fuel of some Fox viewers going, oh, well, look, this was somehow not good enough.
Look, I think that it takes real courage and real gumption to do what she just did. I'm proud of what I saw. She made salient points. She did not appear to be unstable. She appeared to be competent and in command of the facts. She wasn't allowed to finish a lot of her thoughts. And on that particular piece of immigration, one of the points she was trying to point out is that there was a solution. Immigration is not just the Biden administration's problem. It's been a problem in this country for decades. There was a bipartisan bill that even the border agency supported. Donald Trump told his minions in Congress to kill it because he'd rather run on a problem than a solution, because he is more important. His win is more important than the American people. And I hope that at least that message got through to some Fox viewers.
We got you on a lot of topics on a newsworthy night. It's the Woodward Sunny hour of the beat tonight.
You caught me by surprise, but I'm okay.
Hey, I still appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thanks
You're very
again,
welcome.
Sunny Holston here, and we will be right back.